Hey, if you're like a lot of people, you've probably thought about what does it take to start an online business? We're going to talk about some of the things that we see as kind of hurdles for people when they're looking to start an online business, and whether that's retail or content or just a service business. Let's talk about it now. Hey guys, this is Roy from Apotheca Marketing. We work with a lot of clients who are just getting started out, want to launch an online business. And like I said, that could be a service industry business. It could be something where you're booking appointments. Maybe people are paying online for those appointments. It could be a retail business where you are making something or selling something that you are acquiring and reselling that online. There's all sorts of businesses where you can start. A lot of them face the same problems, and we see these problems over and over again. So let's take a look at a few of them. So right out of the gate, one of the biggest hurdles to starting an online business is you. It's how you're preparing for that business. A lot of the hurdles that used to be there 10, 15 years ago for starting an online business just aren't as big a deal anymore. You have very approachable content management systems, platforms that'll let you build a very simple website without needing a lot of help from experts, and they're not very expensive. So you can go start a Wix website or Squarespace or WordPress or any of those types of sites for relatively low cost. Now, admittedly, we recommend using somebody who's going to help you professionally design those, give them, the right navigation, SEO, setup, that kind of thing. But for many, many businesses, they're able to get their foot in the door, start a website for very little money. Even for those companies that come to us to help them start these sites, we're going to talk about a couple of things that usually are missing. Usually what is lacking for a lot of companies wanting to start a site is not the platform. It's not the technology. It's not even finding the right agency to help them. What it is really doing their due diligence before even approaching an agency or looking to get started. So one of the biggest things that we find is that, one, they don't have the niche selected that is really appropriate for them. And what I mean by that is, so for instance, we may have someone come to us and want to start a pet products website. And that category is extremely broad and extremely competitive. Do you really want to start to go against as your competitor PetSmart or Petco or Amazon or Chewy or any of these other huge retailers that have a leg up as far as the number of products that they can get, the pricing, all that kind of stuff? But what you might want to do is look at a niche within that area. Maybe it's dog collars, custom crafted dog collars. Maybe it's beds, whatever that is. But identifying what people are looking for, where there's a market, what might be underserved by those larger big box retailers is, an area where you can really focus and get an audience and get a loyal following without having to invest, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars like some of these big retailers do. And this even goes for service industries. So, if you're a photographer who wants to start promoting their business online, there's photographers are a dime a dozen. Maybe it's focusing on a very specific niche within the photography business. Not just photographers. Maybe you focus only on taking pictures of babies, or maybe it's boudoir photography, or maybe it's only high school pictures, senior pictures, and you focus on that as the main message for your website. So it's really finding that niche that gives you an opportunity to differentiate yourself from the competitors. And speaking of competitors, many people that we've talked to haven't done any competitive research. And so they're not looking at the field and seeing what is out there and who's ranking for keywords, how they're promoting their products, what their pricing structure is. And so you need to do some homework before you want to get into the whatever field or niche it is, and see what are the areas that you should focus on. What are your competitors doing? What are they doing that's making them successful? Is there an opportunity for you to do better than them, or to have a better message, stronger message than them? There's definitely research that needs to be done about demand. You may have an idea for something, but do people even know that they want it? Or is it something that they're just not looking for? Are you going to spend a lot of effort producing a widget or trying to sell a certain type of product? And there's just really not that many people interested in it. And so that's where you need to do some due diligence and make sure that you've done that research before you approach an agency, before you start to try to launch your website, because, you have to ensure that it's something that people want. The other thing that we see is that, somebody may have a great idea about a certain type of product, but they have a limited ability to source it. So they've only got one real supplier. And if that supplier, for whatever reason, has, issues fulfilling orders or goes out of business, their business is going out of business. And the same is for, if you're dealing with homemade or crafted things, or you have a very limited supply of something, you need to make sure that you're going to be able to meet demand. So ideally, your business is going to be able to grow, you're going to be able to scale, and you're going to be able to meet that demand for whatever it is you're selling. And, we've seen in a couple situations where clients have become almost too successful. They weren't really prepared for ramping up their business for when they turn those floodgates on, or something went viral, or they really kick off a big marketing campaign and they're caught short-handed and they're out of stock on a lot of stuff now, or they can't produce it fast enough, or they can't ship it fast enough. And it is annoying people and they're complaining and wanting their money back because it's taking you too long to fulfill that order. And so that's something to be cognizant of, is how quickly can you grow? Are you sourcing the right products? Is there something else that you can expand into? All right, I touched on it a little bit before, but really understanding what is the right platform for your business is extremely important. Like I said, the barrier to entry is extremely low compared to what it was 10, 15 years ago for most online businesses. But what you really have to decide is, what is the right platform for me? And what can I maintain? What can my agency maintain? What, will it scale as our business grows? And so what you need to look at is planning for something that, not just using a platform that you're used to it because you may have used, for instance, WordPress in the past, but really looking at what is going to meet your business needs going forward. So for instance, for a retail platform, don't stick with something that you might be familiar with, like Squarespace or Wix or whatever platform that allows you to sell a few products, because you may get into the point where you want to maintain products at a much higher level, where you want to be able to track inventory, where you want to do shipping and fulfillment. A lot of the stuff, for instance, it's baked into Shopify. And if you've chosen the wrong platform, well, now you have to migrate. And that means, recreating your site, migrating your products to a new site, getting used to the new systems, that kind of stuff. That's where it really helps to bring in somebody like us, who's an expert in the space, that can actually look at your business needs, where your plans are over the next 5 years, and then make recommendations about a platform. And make sure that when you're getting those recommendations, it's not just because they're used to using that platform, but because there really is a real business need there, that they are looking at, expansion and fulfillment and all that kind of stuff that needs to happen for your business to grow. All right. So number 3 on the things that are hurdles that we see all the time. And this is one that we see it with companies of all sizes. So from, mom and pops that are just getting started out to even much larger companies, is the lack of content. And so what I mean by that is, companies will know that they need to have content for a website, right? Like they think like, hey, I just want a website and these are the pages I want. And what they haven't really thought about is the details of that. So do you have the images? Do you have the video and assets that are yours, ideally, or copyrighted? Or have you purchased stock imagery? Or are you leaving that up to your designer? Have you really planned for what that is? And, especially for companies that are selling products and services, have you thought about taking professional pictures, of your products? Have you thought about taking professional quality pictures of you, involved with your service. And so many times, we'll work with a client and all they have is something that, for instance, they took with their phone, or it was a relatively grainy picture that they've had of them doing something. And, there hasn't been a lot of planning and thought behind the imagery of what's going to go on the site. And so that's one thing that you can do as you start to prepare for that site, and definitely an agency can help you work with that, is making sure that you have the right imagery, the right pictures for your site. It's going to show your brand and your products in the best light. Same goes for content. So you have product descriptions. Are they thorough product descriptions? Are they well written? Are they talking about the benefits and details of your product? Are they explaining to people why they need to have that product or service? Do you have an about us? Do you have supporting information? Also, do you have things like privacy policies and use policies, return policies, the legalese of the website? That's increasingly important, because not having those privacy policies can hinder your ability to advertise on certain platforms like Google and Facebook. But it's also going to put you at risk for lawsuits from GDPR violations or California privacy law violations, those types of things that you need to be aware of. And even if you think like, well, I'm just a small site, nobody's ever going to care about that, they will. Eventually, might not right out of the gate, but it's something that you need to do to protect yourself. So be prepared for those types of things. The other thing about content is, making sure that you have an idea of what voice you want around it. So, what are the things that you're going to be describing on your site? What are the different sections of your homepage? What are the different sections of your category pages or your services pages? Is there details that you're going to want to include? Some of that could be, for instance, having testimonials and that type of stuff lined up and ready to go, that your designer and your agency or whoever's developing your site is going to very easily be able to plug into your site and not have to go hunting for it while they're developing it. Okay, number 4, you maybe have your content for your site. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt, right? But do you have a plan for continuing to evolve and create new content for your site? Because, Google looks for new content. So do you have a blogging, calendar? Do you have plans to put together a blog? Are you going to be expanding the content on your pages? Are you going to be updating it on a regular basis? Having a content calendar, having a plan for developing new content for your site on an ongoing basis is extremely important. And we encourage you to also to update photos and to take new images as you get new products, or for instance, maybe you have a new photography setup with a light box that you can, take more professional photographs of your products. That will continue to improve and help your website keep the content fresh. Same thing with videos. Are you planning to produce videos? And are you going to be able to present those on your site and on your various social media platforms and that kind of stuff? So having an ongoing plan of what you're going to do to keep expanding your site, growing it, helping it with SEO is extremely important, because once somebody builds the site, you can't just walk away from it. It really needs to be continue to, optimized and grow and tweaked to make sure that, one, you're promoting your products and services in the best light, but also you're keeping the content fresh and expanding so that there's more fodder there for Google. Number 5 is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and this is analytics. A lot of companies have either very basic plans or no plans for how they're going to plan for implementing their analytics. And whether it's a new site that you're creating, or even if you're migrating a site to another platform, making sure that your analytics is set up correctly is extremely important, because once it's set up and if you're not collecting data correctly, you are going to lose that data. And we've talked about that in some other previous videos, and I'll link to it in the description below. But having a plan for your analytics and how you're going to measure everything is key to understanding how, one, people are using your site. Are they finding what they need? What are they purchasing? Are they purchasing? Are you getting leads? Where are you getting leads? But then also, how's your marketing programming working? how are they getting to your site? What is driving those leads? And is it driving them profitably? And so having that set up correctly is really, really important. And it's not as easy as you think. So especially with Google Analytics 4, the new version of GA4, it's not as easy as plug and play as the Universal Analytics was sometimes, because there's a lot of CMSs and platforms that you could just easily plop that code in there and you could walk away. Well, that's not always the case with GA4. It's definitely not the case with other more enterprise tools like Adobe Analytics, where you really need to have a measurement and marketing plan for how you're going to implement your analytics. And then once it's implemented, make sure you're looking at it. So make sure you're monitoring, once your site goes live, how people are using your site, because that's going to point to any potential issues that may have arisen during the site design. Maybe think something's broken that you weren't aware of. Maybe something wasn't developed correctly. Maybe people are using the site differently than you anticipated. Maybe marketing programs aren't working correctly or not tracking correctly. So you need to understand all of that. Keep a really close eye on it. We encourage you to have what I call a go live dashboard. So right after launch, you're looking at real-time metrics, real-time data, and seeing if there's any hiccups that you can quickly address before it gets out of control, or if data is missing. Are you not showing certain data points that are going to be important to you in the future? And you need to make sure that that analytics implementation gets fixed now so you don't lose that data. All right, along the lines of analytics and measurement is testing and optimization. So again, once your site is launched and your online business is starting to go, you can't just walk away, right? You need to understand what you can do to constantly improve that. And so testing and optimization is one of those areas where you can understand much better about what your customers are going to respond to. And there's free tools on the market like Google Optimize. There's other A/B and multivariate testing tools that you can put in place to understand what creative changes on your site will have, what calls to action will have, what colors are going to change behavior on your site. So you can actually have a different version of a landing page or of your homepage and understand what is going to drive more click-throughs and sales when you change certain elements of it. It could be the person on the page, it could be a call to action, it could be a button color, an image, it could be the product. Those kind of tests are extremely important to understand, how people are going to respond. And we encourage all of our clients to do that on a regular basis. Now, the caveat there is that to be statistically significant, try saying that real fast a few times. The catch is trying to be statistically significant means that you have to have a decent number of conversions for each of those variations of what you're testing. So if you're just starting out, testing might take a long time for you to understand what versions of something wins. But once you get rolling and you start getting more traffic, definitely think about starting to test so that once you have those conversions, you can start comparing them and understanding what changes you should make to your site to optimize it so that you can get even more leads and sales than you were before. All right. And then one of the biggest things that we see with new companies starting out is this idea that you build it and they will come. And I'm sorry, but if you build your website, they will not come without some work. So you have to market your website. You have to plan on doing that. And too many companies don't really think about that. They're so involved with getting the business up and running. They're getting involved with the project of the website that they're not fully thinking about just what effort it's going to take and budget it's going to take to truly market the website. And so, you should be looking from day one at integrating your site with all the different marketing platforms, making sure that you have Facebook pixels and Google tracking pixels put on the site. Make sure that you're planning for a paid search program, that you're planning for social media advertising, and not just organic social media, which is also extremely important, but advertising. So, Facebook ads and potentially TikTok ads or platform of your choice. But to have that mapped out, to understand how much that's probably going to cost, to understand, that you need to start SEO right out of the gate. But that's going to take some time. But if you don't start now, then it's going to take even longer later. So understanding that getting those marketing programs ready, getting budgets set aside, making sure your site is prepared is extremely important, because the last thing you want to do is launch a site, have it sit there, and you're like, hey, nobody's coming, the site's not working. It's not the site that's not working, it's that it is a landing page for you. And it is a place for people to go that you drive there. And ideally you're driving them through affordable means, though, eventually you're driving them with SEO, eventually you're driving them with organic social media, but you also have to have that paid advertising in mind. You have to have things like local search and, Google business listings and all that kind of stuff in mind when you're setting up your site, and making sure that you hit the ground running with those programs so that you can start generating sales sooner than later. All right. And bonus tip, one of the things that we see with some clients is they are obsessed with making sure that their baby, that website, this new business that they're starting, is just 100% ready to go. It's perfect. It's all dialed in. The fonts are all perfect and the colors are perfect, and all of that is important. But what I would recommend is that rather than getting caught up on the minutia, is the kind of 80-20 rule. Is it 80% good enough to go? Is it good enough to go for you to launch that you can start making sales and then keep tweaking as it improves? Because otherwise you're just sitting there and not making any business. It's constant revisions to the site, constant approval. We see this with companies where there may be multiple people involved in the business, where you have either a committee or you have multiple owners who all have their say and all want certain things from the site. And what it does is it causes huge delays. And so while those delays are happening, the clock is ticking, your budgets are running out, you're not making any money, the site still hasn't gone live, you can't start any of the marketing programs that you need to start. SEO sure isn't starting. So you need to take a step back and say, is this good enough for now? Obviously you can always go back and improve it, but is it good enough to get started? We don't have all of the products that we want and need, but is it good enough? And that's where you need to look to see, yeah, this sure is ready to go. So as always, I hope this was helpful. There's other hurdles, obviously, to getting your business up and running. We can talk in more detail about some of those, like, for instance, getting a retail site set up with Shopify, for instance, or content management sites. But these are the high-level stuff. It's stuff to get ready before you launch your site. Make sure you have the content. Make sure you have images. Make sure you have a business plan. Make sure the product or market niche that you're entering is the right one for you, that it's expandable. These are all things that, a good agency can also help you plan and look at, and, really assess, is this the path you should be going down? So if this was helpful, please give us a like. And as always, subscribe. We'll be doing a lot more of these coming in the near future. And we hope you join us. Thanks.